it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another episode of Treknalysis. Here on Treknalysis, I do a bit of clowning around with some Star Trek episodes, but this time, I'm getting serious. No jokes, just straight up analysis. Oh, who am I kidding? It's the clown episode of Voyager.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
Throughout its 7th season run, Star Trek Voyager has attempted some rather odd ideas. I mean, this is the show that turned 2 of its lead characters into salamanders, and they had babies. There is no way to make that sound normal.
I don't know how I'm going to enter this into the log.
So, is it that much of a stretch to see Forever-an-Ensign Harry Kim stuck in a state of hibernation being tormented by clowns?
Sad clown. Why do you torment me so?
Well, that's basically Season 2's The Thaw. Now, to my memory, I think I only sat through The Thaw once before rewatching it for this video, but I remember it being a very odd experience. And from what I gather online, this is very much a love-hate episode. Some people rank it among their favorite episodes, others can't watch it because it's too creepy, and others just straight up hate it. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Do I think The Thaw is a good episode or a bad episode? Well, wake up and go to sleep because it's no laughing matter this week on Treknalysis.
Send in the clowns.
But before I go further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. And if you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a member. Be great to have you aboard. The episode begins with Harry disturbing the peace.
Would it be possible to play your clarinet a little better?
Apparently Voyager isn't exactly soundproof since it was designed for combat and not apartment living. Tom, who's hanging out with Harry, teases him that now he has an excuse to tell his mother why he wasn't practicing. But since no good deed ever goes unpunished, Harry responds that he's practicing for a concert with a girl Tom's been chasing after for the past 6 months.
Cold hands, cold heart? Not when she plays the oboe.
Meanwhile, Voyager has arrived at what Neelix describes as a major trading post. Only it's completely deserted. No life signs are detected, but plenty of advanced technology. It turns out about 19 years ago, a solar flare caused a glacial freeze, but it seems to have gotten better. And yet, despite nobody being home, Harry picks up a hail from the surface.
I think we're being hailed.
The hail is from a guy named Viorsa. He's a planner of the settlement on the planet, and he made this message for anyone who finds it. Their home has been destroyed, but a couple of them had decided to go into stasis to wake up in about 15 years when the planet starts to recover so they can rebuild the settlement. Please do not disturb. But this is Voyager we're talking here. The same Voyager that earned a reputation in the Delta Quadrant for taking side quests that involve sticking their nose into everyone's business when they should really be heading towards home. Of course they're disturbing! It turns out that the hibernating survivors were below the surface, which is why Harry didn't initially pick up their life signs, and they were supposed to wake up about 4 years ago. So Janeway gets the idea to beam the stasis pods to the cargo bay and find out what went wrong. Of the 5 people in stasis, 2 are dead, which is weird because nothing's wrong with the stasis equipment, so all 5 should be alive. Harry starts tapping away at an alien computer he's never seen before, and finds out that they're all connected to each other through the computer and that their minds are active. What's even weirder is that the computer was supposed to tell them that the planet was habitable again, so they should know it's time to come out of stasis. There's no reason they're still in there.
Maybe they like it in there.
I don't think so.
The AMH chimes in that the 2 dead survivors died from severe heart failure and some neural trauma.
It could be evidence of extreme fear.
So, they probably should come out of stasis right away. Chakotay suggests unplugging them, which sounds like a bad idea from the get-go, but Tuvok, ever the voice of reason, chimes in. Question time! What do you think Tuvok is about to suggest? A. Let's study the pods and see if there's a safe way to remove the survivors from the outside. B. Ask Neelix to cook his Tuesday night special to gag them awake. C. do the hokey pokey, or D, plug Harry and B'Elanna's brain into a computer that they know nothing about and ask the survivors directly.
We already have a means of communication. The 2 unoccupied pods.
Look, I've seen a lot of Star Trek episodes, and I've seen a lot of bad decisions made by main characters. But this has to be one of the stupidest. Think about it. They hardly know anything about this computer other than it seems to be working properly and the people in the pods haven't woken up in time. Tuvok, did you ever think that if you send 2 people in there that maybe, logically, they would get stuck in there too?
Got any more bright ideas?
I don't see any alternative.
Other than endangering your crew?
What is wrong with you people?
Harry and B'Elanna take a little nap and find themselves in a dream world. Oh no, it's a nightmare!
We're all friends here.
That's not unsettling.
Are you still scared of clowns?
Yeah. Perhaps I can help you?
Mr. Home, is that you?
Thank you for the drinks.
Why talk when we can dance?
What am I watching? I know there are some episodes in Trek where you have to question if the writers were on anything at the time. But this... Kids, don't do drugs.
Illegal drugs are bad news. Don't mess with them.
Still think it was a good idea to send Harry and B'Elanna in there too? So, quite predictably, Harry and B'Elanna are captured and Harry is about to lose his head when the 3 survivors arrive to stop the insanity. But oh, if we were only so lucky. Viorsa, the guy from the message, pleads with the clown that Harry and B'Elanna are just aliens. They'll have shipmates that'll shut down the program. Who knows what'll happen if they're hurt?
I do. I know.
This episode really shifts from ridiculous to really dark and unsettling quickly. And even more unsettling is the fact that the clown knows everything that Harry and B'Elanna are thinking and knows everything about them. You know, because it was Tuvok's idea to plug their brain into a weird computer.
Why don't we ask them how to proceed?
But what exactly are the clowns? Maybe a virus or something?
A virus, he thinks I am a virus.
Well, this is getting weird, so it's time to leave this clown hellscape.
If you leave, one of them will die.
I think I'm starting to get a picture of why no one woke up from stasis. Wasn't this a great idea, Tuv?
Now you can laugh yourself to sleep.
Can't sleep. Clown will eat me.
Meanwhile, Kes is trying to wake up B'Elanna and Harry, but as soon as their bodies start to warm up, they go back into stasis as Harry disables the recall command in the system per friendly suggestion. Trapped in this clownish hellhole, Harry and B'Elanna convince the clown to let at least one of them go. The clown's only demand is that he be allowed to exist, but somebody needs to tell Voyager's crew not to shut down the program. While the clowns are huddled together in conference, Harry and B'Elanna talk with the other hostages and find out that the program was meant to respond to their needs, and, because they had fears about survival, the computer gradually created Michael McKean. Also, there's a delay in the clown becoming aware of their thoughts while the computer processes them. At that moment, the clown returns to let B'Elanna go and keep Harry.
You who becomes my best friend as of today.
Now, the main reason for keeping Harry specifically is because Janeway is like a mother to him, so she won't do anything to hurt him. Except if that were true, Forever-an-Ensign Harry Kim would be getting those nepotism promotions.
I didn't notice the little box on my chair.
So Janeway's plan is to try to reduce the number of hostages and attempt to negotiate with, basically, fear. Even though this episode is kinda unsettling, there's a part of me that appreciates it for exploring the nature of fear. The emotion, not the clown. I covered this in another video, but I don't like the current trend in modern stories of making heroes and heroines fearless because fear is actually a healthy emotion. As Janeway puts it, fear is what makes us recognize danger and whether to fight it or run away, and I even argue that a lot of heroes in our stories have fears, but ultimately choose to confront them in order to do what needs to be done. Even if this episode is a bit strange, it's presenting a visual of a more abstract idea like facing fear, and it does a pretty good job at it. But the question facing Janeway now is, what do you do when fear holds you hostage?
Maybe we should try to make him laugh.
Nobody asked you, Neelix! Seriously, why is he here? Janeway decides to go a more direct route and tells B'Elanna to mod the computer while they negotiate. They just need to figure out a safer way to communicate. Which is what they should have done in the first place. Meanwhile, Harry's having fun.
Are you afraid of growing old, Harry?
Time for your medicine.
Fear is punishing Harry for thinking of escape, basically by tormenting him by turning into an old man and a baby, all while mocking him. Once Harry turns back into Harry, he decides to cope by saying that all of this is an illusion. Except the problem with that theory is that he can actually die from this illusion.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Whoever said that must have had a lot of bodyguards.
Fear then decides to terrify Harry with a particular memory that scarred him deeply. Strapping him down to a gurney and moving a scalpel towards him.
Excuse me, you're not holding that properly.
What is this episode? Not gonna lie, I kinda like the holodoc's entrance here. Sure, it's a little cracked going from a really creepy scene where Harry's about to meet his doom to a comedic moment with the holodoc deadpan telling Fear he's holding the scalpel wrong. But considering the entire setting is a circus, which is meant to be lighthearted, that shifts to something far more sinister, the juxtaposition really works. The Doc was sent to negotiate with the clown because he can't be affected by the program, and why didn't they do this in the first place? Why bother sending Harry and B'Elanna at all when they could have just sent the Doc in the first place? Heck, the program can't even read his mind!
How am I supposed to negotiate if I don't know what you're thinking?
I have a very trustworthy face.
Janeway has a couple of terms for the release of the hostages that include a synthetic brain to keep the program running, and even letting one of the hostages stay. Which gets rejected pretty quickly.
Go away!
So, Janeway is pissed. She didn't live up to Fear's expectations, and now she's out for blood. B'Elanna is called in for some technobabble, and a rescue plan is devised where B'Elanna will work to mod the system while the EMH distracts Fear. Meanwhile,
don't be a poop.
The EMH arrives once again for more negotiations. While Fear insists that he only wants real brains, no comment there, Janeway is prepared to offer him a cloaking device.
I already have a cloaking device. Thank you anyway.
B'Elanna is working on modding the computer while the EMH distracts Fear, and oh look, everything's disappearing, and now the clowns have been alerted to their plan.
The negotiations were short.
And this stunt cost Viorsa his life.
Massive heart failure.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Janeway capitulates to spare the lives of the hostages, and the clowns celebrate.
Celebration!
So now Janeway is super pissed. And this leads into another examination of Fear, again, something that this episode does really well. Basically, why do people do things like turn holodeck safeties off or play dangerous sports? All stuff that induces fear, which the EMH observes that people like to test their limitations. Meanwhile,
well, you certainly know how to bring a party to a halt.
I don't get out very much.
The Doc is back with an ultimatum. Janeway is about to shut down the system in 1 minute, and she doesn't care if the hostages suffer brain damage. Fear must now release the hostages, and in return, he gets Janeway. And the Doc is counting down.
I won't agree. You have 30 seconds to avoid termination.
4 seconds.
Stop counting! Stop counting!
Fear agrees and is excited for Janeway to join him as she steps into the pod and makes her entrance, sacrificing her life to free the hostages.
I am so moved.
But it turns out that Janeway clowned the clown out of everything. For you see, that's not Captain Janeway. It's a hologram.
I'm not Captain Janeway.
Could have fooled me.
I'm afraid I did.
Even though Fear can sense Janeway's mind connected to the system, she's not trapped in the program because she's not in stasis. The real Captain Janeway can shut down the program at any time, erasing Fear's existence. Holo Janeway points out that Fear wanted all of this to end. He wanted Janeway to come here to test his limits. He wanted her to subdue him. Fear is left to his fate. the one thing he's feared all along: vanishing from existence.
You are to be denied existence.
And Hollow Janeway delivers perhaps one of Janeway's best moments, even though it's not really her.
I'm afraid.
And that was the Thaw. And you know what? It's a pretty solid episode. It's a bit batshit and even unsettling, but it's a decent premise. I do like that the concept of fear is explored, even if it ends up being a little strange. Like many Voyager episodes, it's very experimental, something that sci-fi does best. You couldn't do this kind of episode in most genres. Sure, it can be kind of goofy and campy at times, but when it works, it works. It even worked to represent fear with clowns, and not just because the fear of clowns is prevalent. The circus can be a goofy environment that many consider fun, much like thrill seekers seeking dangerous activities to get that rush of fear. But it can so easily flip from fun to terrifying quickly and unpredictably. It's like a roller coaster where you can be having fun 1 minute, but then it changes abruptly and you stop having fun and want to get off. Michael McKean does do a good job with the role of fear, flipping between the comedy of a clown and the sinister nature of a tormentor. And, of course, Hollow Janeway's scene to close out the episode is peak Janeway, almost showing a ruthless side to her, proving that the only thing we need to fear is Captain Janeway herself.
I know.
So, what do you think? What did you think of the Thaw? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Does it deserve the praise and or criticism it gets? And what are some of your favorite strange episodes of Star Trek? Please, leave comments below and discuss. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Treknalysis. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends! Until next time...
You know as well as I do that fear only exists for one purpose: to be conquered.